Hello, and we are here today with Matt Eisenhammer, General Manager of the Chicago Cubs. We have just returned from a 10-game road trip, and as you can tell, my razor broke halfway through the road trip. I'm not able to actually be clean shaven for this. The Cubs were 5-5 on this road trip and sitting right at 500, just like we were a month ago, the last time we had this conversation. So let's get some thoughts from Matt Eisenhammer on the general direction of the team. Let's start out with a couple of key injuries that have happened in the last 2 weeks. Craig Kimbrell going down for the season and precipitating a 3-team trade that brought in a couple of new relievers. And Anthony Rizzo going down for 4 months. He'll be back in September if he doesn't have any setbacks. And the quest to replace him at first base. So Matt, why don't you start out with the Kimbrell injury and the resulting trade that brought in some guys to help in the bullpen?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a secret, and I certainly addressed this in the beginning of the season. You know, we weren't confident that the bullpen was as strong as we wanted it to be going into the season. Which was part of what led us to trade for Nick Burdi right at the beginning of the season. That, of course, didn't work out the way we had planned with him going down for, I think, what was 5 weeks at the time. That's maybe 6 weeks. I don't know. It was an extended injury that, as we've just heard from the trainers, I think it got released that he's had a setback, I think, pushing him back another 2 weeks. So we were hoping to have him back in a week. That's been pushed back some. So we were already hurting from that. And then, you know, we got the worst news we could imagine with Kimbrell, who had been quite dominant in the early goings of the season. And he was probably one of the things that was really keeping us where we were record-wise. So we knew we needed to do something. And so it led us to the 3-team trade to bring in 3 relievers. All with some closer experience in Jimenez, in Kennedy, and in Rosenthal. Oh, and then also.
So I actually have Kimbrell's stat line pulled up here. Before he got hurt, he pitched in 13 games. He saved 10 games and 11 opportunities and struck out 26 in 12 innings of work while only walking 3. Really impressive stat line, really going to be a big hole in the bullpen that's going to have to be filled.
Yeah, and you've seen that even in the week since he went down, right? So, you know, what have we blown? 2 saves? I think we blew 2 saves. We've had...
Yeah, 1 for sure in the Pirates series, and a second one that was blown, but you ended up winning. Yeah.
Well, you know, I think we blew the 3-5 game. I think Kennedy might have blown a save early on. Jimenez blew a save early on. We managed to pull one out where it went bad, I think. Yeah. And in Rosenthal, I think, walked the bases loaded in the game with no outs.
Yeah.
In fact, the game that Jimenez blew was with 2 outs, and I think we gave up something like 5 runs. So, you know, David's doing everything he can to make good choices with figuring out how far to keep the starting pitchers in, when to bring in the relievers, when to exchange them one for another. And it's, you know, it's going as well as I think we can hope.
Yeah. So that's the solution, at least for the short term, in the bullpen, and obviously hoping that Burdi comes back and is effective.
Yeah, I mean, in essence, we brought in four new relievers in a 2-day span.
Yeah. The Hall of Justice bullpen where everybody's a closer. Yeah. It was impressive. Now, with Rizzo going down, he actually had not been particularly effective, and now he's been replaced with something of a platoon situation at first between Travis Shaw and Danny Santana. And this was a different trade, but do you want to speak to that a little bit as well?
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, I know that Rizzo wasn't hitting for a high average, but I think his on-base percentage was pretty significant.
395.
395, right? That's pretty significant. So yeah, he was hitting 234, but he was coming along and he was still showing some power. In the at bats that he had. So and he's kind of the team leader. So we didn't see a way that we were going to replace Rizzo with somebody of that same caliber. And the reality is, we've just extended him to, what was it, a 6-year deal. So the reality was bringing in a high-paid, more established first baseman wasn't going to be the best move for us. And so we found a trading partner in the Blue Jays who were willing to move Shaw.
Right. For a reasonable cost, obviously, but yes. So Shaw is the kind of the stopgap, but he's platooning with other players, and you're just kind of hoping to limp it along until Rizzo comes back.
Yeah, I think between him and Danny, they'll take their chances at first base. I don't think we saw the answer coming from AAA. So, that we made the best decision that we could, because I don't think we have anybody in the system ready to step up quite yet.
Sure. And, talking about the fact that now we're at, I believe, May 23rd. Does that sound right? And we just finished a 5-5 10-game road trip. And the team is sitting right here at 500, but only a couple games out of first. So how are you feeling about where the team's situation is right now in the standings?
I think we're fortunate. I give Dave a lot of credit for getting everything he can out of this team, and this is a team that hasn't quit in any of these games, and we faced some definite injuries. And we're still fighting. So, did we let some games slip away from us? Yes. I'd like to be a few games over 500 right now, but I feel pretty good about being only 2.5 out. And we have the Reds coming into Chicago here in the next week.
Yes, 6-game homestand, Marlins and Reds.
I'd love to see us go 5 out of 6.
That would be pretty spectacular if that happened. Well, I think that's about all the questions that I had. Any final thoughts before we part ways here?
Yeah, I think the key is getting the hitting on track. I think, David and I have talked a lot about this right now. We don't get on base with the frequency that we need to be successful. And so I think being more patient and, this last week was a hard week. There were a lot of times where I saw a swing at ball 4.
Yes.
And that's a significant occurrence. That and grounding into inning double plays. I think we must lead the league in swung at ball 4 and double plays to end an inning. We've got to get more patient, put the ball in play. We just can't afford to strike out. And I think you saw in many of these games in the last week, getting 2 runners on with no outs and not getting anyone home. So that's got to end. We got to get the ball in play and advance runners. And when we do that, we're going to go pretty great. The starting pitching has been very solid. It was nice to see Johnny get out to a good start here. He's had a rough start to the season, but it looks like he's turned the page. And then we've seen lights out baseball from Quintana and really strong stuff from Darvish and Archer.
So I have to ask one follow-up question. The swing and miss at ball 4, is that an actual stat that the front office is tracking now?
I don't know that we're tracking it, but you certainly see it when you see it, and that's a rough situation. It's in essence it's getting onto first and passing.
It's the beauty of StatCaster, right? You can actually figure all this out. Yes.
So yeah, we are not talented enough to give away base runners and not put the ball in play.
Sure. All right. Well, thanks for taking your time here to interview with us tonight.
Well, thank you, Tom. Let's go get him this week.